Hi everyone. So, bit of a different angle today. I have a TBR cart that I want to build. I know absolutely everyone and their mother has a TBR cart, but I just love the concept of the idea. And I also thought this would be a good opportunity to go through my physical TBR. I think I'm going to use it as a tool. I would really like, as much as possible, to keep my physical TBR in the cart. That way it would give me a good idea of how much I need to read. It should definitely tell me when I should stop buying books. So yeah, that's why I got it. I've seen this all over YouTube and I really want to do one myself. So yeah, I thought I would try to put it together on camera. Currently on my bookshelves, I do have entire series on my shelves, even if I've only read a certain amount of books in the series. So I'll take The Raven Cycle, for example. I've read the first 2 books, but not the last 2. So I think I will keep the last 2 on the shelf. I think I might just keep the cart for series I haven't started yet or standalone books. I think a TBR cart can fit about 50 books. I'll try my best to work it down. But yeah, that's why I want to use this as a tool to keep my physical TBR within a manageable range. So yeah, I got this lovely pale pink colour. I can link the one I got. I ordered it on Amazon, so I can link that in the description. But yeah, I just thought this would be a really good way to organise my books. Okay, the cart is built. I'm back in my usual location. It's very hard to fit me and the cart in the camera frame, so apologies. What I think I'll do is I'll prioritise my standard paperbacks to put in here because they're the majority of my physical TBR, but I might put my monthly TBR up the top shelf so they're just easy to reach. Hopefully this all fits. But yeah, I thought I would just go through my physical TBR. I obviously won't go into too much detail, but I might just give a quick reason why I own it, why I want to read it. And I might try to keep series together as much as possible. So I'll just get straight into it. I have the Poppy War trilogy. This is by R.F. Kuang. I read Babel by her and I loved it. So I'd love to read her backlist. So that's why I have the whole series. And I've heard really good things about this. So I think I'll put this down the bottom. Whoa. I'm failing already. Yeah, it's a very good cart for just paperbacks, I feel. I have Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I've read Stardust by Neil Gaiman and I really liked it, so I think he's a really good storyteller, so I picked this up. It sounds really interesting. I have 2 books by Lucy Foley, so I have The Hunting Party and I've got The Guest List. I also have The Paris Apartment, but that is a trade paperback I have. I have 3 Lucy Foley books, but I've never read any of her books before. I actually bought this for my mother one Christmas because she loves murder mysteries and this came highly recommended. But my aunt bought her the same book, so I was like, okay, I'll keep my version. So yeah, and I think The Guest List is set in Ireland. I think that's why I picked it up. I've heard mixed things about The Hunting Party and I've heard good things about The Guest List. But yeah, I'll see if I like her. So I have the Penguin classic of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I loved Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I think this is the only Emily Bronte full fiction novel, I believe. But yeah, I really want to read it. I have the Cruel Prince trilogy. I've never read these yet, obviously. So I've got The Cruel Prince, Wicked King and Queen of Nothing. Obviously this is just like a really super popular series. It's got a very good enemies to lovers, I've heard. Yeah, everything about this series seems intriguing to me, so I'd love to get to it soon. I've had them for ages, but I just never got around to reading them. I'll try and fit one more thin book on that side. I do have The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. But this just sounded fun. It's like a rom-com where two people share a bed. One works nights and one works during the day, so they never actually meet in an attempt to save money. They both live in a one bed apartment, and I think they communicate by leaving letters and notes for each other, so it sounds fun. I've heard good things about Beth O'Leary, so that's something I want to read, hopefully very soon. That's one side done. I think you can see. I don't think you can fit two alongside each other, can you? Oh, I can. Okay, perfect. I'll probably fit a good bit, so I'll just fill up the bottom. So I've got Blue Ticket by Sophie McIntosh. This is a dystopian. I think based on a lottery system, women can decide if they are going to be childbearing or not. I think it's something like that. I've read The Water Cure by Sophie McIntosh and I really enjoyed it. It's very eerie and you really have to guess what's going on. So again, just wanted to read her new, I think this is newer. But yeah, I love dystopias, so pick that up. I have the Inheritance Games trilogy, so the Inheritance Games, the Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit, and these are by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I picked these up because these are supposed to be like Knives Out. I think there's a couple of people in a family and then some outsiders were invited to play this game, and whoever wins the game wins this person's inheritance. So it sounds really fun. Apparently there's a love triangle. It's YA. Heard very good things, but haven't got to it yet. I have If We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I've heard that this is actually a Shakespeare retelling. I'm not sure which play, and I think it has an unreliable narrator, so that sounds really fun. Oh, I have The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I just picked this up because it's very, very popular and heard fun things about it. I have some Taylor Jenkins Reid, so I have Carrie Soto is Back, and I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I have read Malibu Rising. They're the only two in Taylor Jenkins Reid's universe that I've read, so I really need to get to these two. I think I've delayed The Seven Husbands because I've been spoiled, so I don't feel the intrigue to pick it up, but I'm sure I will still love it. And then Carrie Soto was actually a minor character in Malibu Rising, so I'm very excited to read this one, but yeah, just haven't got around to them. Let's see, I have an Emily Henry, so I've got Book Lovers. I've got a few Emily Henrys on my TBR. I have read You and Me on Vacation or People We Meet on Vacation, and I did quite enjoy it. I thought it was a good book. It didn't blow me away, but Emily Henry just seems to be such a prolific romance author that I think I would just like to be on top of her releases and see which one will be my favourite. I've heard Happy Place is really, really good. But yeah, I have Book Lovers. I have two Ali Hazelwood books as well. So I've got The Love Hypothesis and then Check and Mate. I picked up The Love Hypothesis. I think this is the book that made Ali Hazelwood like really famous, so I would love to read it. And I heard it's a Kylo Ren fanfiction. I haven't seen the new Star Wars movie, so I don't think that will affect my reading in any way. And then I've got Check and Mate as well. So this won the Young Adult Fiction, I think, for 2023 for the Goodreads winners, so that's why I picked it up. But yeah, I still haven't read any Ali Hazelwood yet. I need to change that. Okay, I've got The First Magnolia Parks, so this is by Jessa Hastings. I picked this up because one of my favourite YouTubers is Rachel Catherine, and this is her favourite book. And these new covers came out recently, I think within the last year, and I've just seen them a lot in a lot of bookshops, so I just thought I would pick it up. It's a bit like a drama, like Gossip Girl. I believe like the two main characters in this are supposed to be like Chuck and Blair, like a really dysfunctional relationship, but it's all about the drama. It sounds really fun. It sounds something that I would really like. I think I can fit one thin book over here, so I'll go for Sea of Tranquility. So this is by Emily St. John Mandel. She's a very long name, and I know nothing about this, only that it won the sci-fi Goodreads. Just a note, I always pick up the Goodreads winners, the fiction ones anyway, if I haven't read them yet already. And this one is sci-fi, I think for 2022, and apparently it's a book you read in one sitting, and yeah, I love sci-fi dystopia, so I just thought this would be good. I love this. It fits so many books in a small space. It's lovely. Oh, this is Spin as well. Maybe I'll put this in. So this is The Humans by Matt Haig. I think I bought this because Book Roast on YouTube, I think she mentioned that this was one of her favourite books like quite a while ago, but I never got around to it. But I think it's an alien comes to Earth and he describes to his friends what humans are like. But apparently it's like really funny. Okay, that's row 1. Okay, I brought you a bit closer for tier 2, so you're gonna laugh at me, but I have all the Twilight books. I bought these when Midnight Sun came out, and I haven't read Midnight Sun, so this is Twilight from Edward's perspective. I think just the first book, but I obviously read the Twilight books when I was a teenager when these came out first, but I've never reread them. I thought I would reread them and then maybe try Midnight Sun, but I've yet to pick it up. I have The Beach by Alex Garland. I picked this up because of the new edition. I just thought it was just a really pretty edition of this book. I haven't read this yet. I think it's Jamie's library who really enjoyed this book that influenced me to pick this up. But yeah, I just saw it and I couldn't resist it. I just thought it was such a nice cover. I have a Sally Rooney book, so I have Conversations with Friends. So I did read Normal People and Beautiful World, Where Are You? But I've never read Conversations with Friends, so I really enjoy Sally Rooney, so I think I will enjoy this. I picked up Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I haven't read any Stephen King and I've heard that this trilogy is really, really good. I know this is a trilogy and then there's another trilogy after this, so I thought I would start with Mr. Mercedes, but this is more of a thriller horror. But yeah, I've never read Stephen King and I would love to. I have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, so I just picked this up because it's so popular and it's everywhere, and I think this was a Goodreads winner one year as well, so yeah, just never got around to it. The books keep falling every time I put one in. I have the first Percy Jackson, so this is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I never read Percy Jackson and I picked this up because I was like, maybe I will like it. I really quite like reading middle grades. I don't know if I will enjoy this now as an adult. Maybe I will, so I thought I would give it a go. Okay, that's one side done. I love this. It reminds me of the library. You know, the little like trolleys they have to put books back. I have Such a Fun Age and this is by Kylie Reid. This I think won lots of awards, but again, I've never got around to it. I think it's about a girl who's actually the babysitter, I think, of a child, but she actually gets, I think, racially profiled and thought to be a kidnapper. I have A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I did read Circe and I really liked Circe and I've heard really good things about this, but I've heard you also need tissues and then it's like really, really sad. So obviously this is a retelling of Achilles and Patroclus and the Battle of Troy. Yeah, big Madeline Miller fan. I have The Silent Patient. This is by Alex Michaelides. I have pen marks on here and I don't know how that happened. I have read The Maidens and I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was trying a bit too hard to be a bit edgy or dark academia. Like I just found it kind of like silly in places, but apparently this is his really renowned book, so I would like to read it. I have two Jane Austens. I love Jane Austen. One of these is the Wordsworth Classics version and one of these is the Penguin Classics. I didn't really match these up, but anyway, I have Sense and Sensibility and I have Persuasion. So I've read Pride and Prejudice and I've read Emma and Northanger Abbey. So I need to get to these two and Lady Susan. I think they're the only ones I need to get to for Austen. I have The Spanish Love Deception. So this is by Elena Armaz. This, I think it won the romance category for Goodreads one year, so that's why I picked it up, but never got around to it. I've heard mixed things about this. Some people love this, some people don't like it at all, so I will see. And again, this was another Goodreads winner, the 2020 winner. So this is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, and this is written like poetry apparently, and I think this book is about a plane crash. Okay, actually I think my paperbacks are going to fit on the 2 rows. I think I have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I know nothing about this, but this won the horror Goodreads for I think 2022. I literally know nothing. And then I've got The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. But yeah, it's a thriller. Main character is the housemaid in this big manor. That's all I know. Will I fit The Lord of the Rings? No, it won't fit. Anyway, I've got The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings. So The Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers and The Return of the King. I know these movies inside and out because my brothers absolutely adore those movies. So I just ended up watching them a lot growing up. But I've never ever read them. Something I would like to do is maybe audiobook them because Andy Serkis, who is Gollum in the movies, he does the audiobook, so I wouldn't mind maybe listening to it while I read them, so I would really love to do that at some point. Oh, that's annoying. Nah, I'm not happy with that. I'm going to rearrange a little bit. I put Hidden Pictures on the bottom row so I could fit Return of the King here, and I took out the flat share because this is on my current TBR, so I just thought I would maybe leave that on top. I see why packing these to the brim isn't the best idea, because I think taking books out sometimes, especially on the sides, you might damage your books a little bit, so I want to be a bit careful with that. Okay, so the top shelf of this is going to be quite boring. I think what I'll do is I'll keep my TBR for the month. I only have one left of this month and that's the flat share, so I think I will keep that there. And then I also think I'll keep my anticipated releases of 2024 up here. I only have 2 so far, and I have The Fury by Alex Michaelides. So this just came out recently, I think at the very beginning of February or the very end of January. This is about a really reclusive celebrity who takes a big group of friends to a Greek island and there's a murder. I haven't heard anything about this yet, but I quite enjoyed The Maiden, so hopefully this one is good too. I also just got this in the post literally today. So this is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I think this came out just before Valentine's Day. This is set in the same world as A Diary of Blood, and this is a Carmilla retelling. I've never read Carmilla, so I don't really know her original story, but I think Carmilla did precede Dracula, if I'm not correct. I think Carmilla was the very first vampire book. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This is about, I think it's Laura. Yeah, I think Laura goes to this prestigious university, so it's got like this dark academia setting. She quickly becomes like a academic rival with Carmilla, and I think their poetry professor is obsessed with Carmilla as well. But yeah, it's a vampire story as well. So yeah, I really liked Diary of Blood, so hopefully this is good too. Diary of Blood was written as letters to Dracula, so I'm interested to see how this will be written. This is pretty sparse, but I think I am happy to maybe just like separate those, keep my TBR and the releases I want to read immediately. Something I really want to do this year is read more series that I'm in the middle of and be a little bit more on top of 2024 releases. Usually I read books that are quite backlisted, so I think I just want to be a little bit more on the pulse in terms of like book publications within the year. So I think maybe having them on the top of the cart will maybe entice me to read them quicker. But yeah, I do have more. So how many books is that? I'm just going to count. Okay, I fit 51 books on here. That is good to know. Obviously there's room for more. Yeah, I'm happy with that so far. Sorry for changing the angle once again. I have more physical TBR and it's these 2 shelves. These are just slightly bigger. So these are my hardbacks that I want to read. And then these are mostly my trade paperbacks. So I just thought I would go through them to count my final number of physical TBR. Okay, I'll start with these shorter ones. I have Gallant by V. Schwab. This I think was an Illumicrate book, so it is quite pretty. But V. Schwab is one of my favourite authors, so I will read anything she releases. But I haven't read this one yet. I have Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross, and Rebecca Ross is the author of Divine Rivals. She has a few books in her backlist that I didn't realise I had. I feel like I got this in a book box. Anyway, I know nothing about this book, but I own it. I have XOXO by Axie O. I think it's about this guy and a girl who I think just fall for each other after a day of hanging out. I think the girl realizes that he's actually a K-pop idol. So I think that would be a fun K-pop book to read. I've heard good things. I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This was, I think I bought this because it was a Goodreads winner one year, but I really don't know much about it. I have Veronica Roth's Poster Girls. Veronica Roth wrote the Divergent series, which I loved when I was younger, and this is another dystopian novel, but an adult one. And I think this was an Illumicrate. No, this was Fairy Loot. Another Rebecca Ross. I have A River Enchanted. I know nothing about this book, but again, I kept it because it is Rebecca Ross, who's a very popular author at the moment. So I do really just want to check her out. I have this huge book. This is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. And this is his sci-fi novel. I think he recently just came out with a fantasy novel. But again, this was a Goodreads winner for sci-fi one year. That will take me a while to read. I've got Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is an atmospheric horror book and I've heard really good things about it. I just got this recently actually. This is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. And this is a Pinocchio retelling, which I didn't realise. So I think it sounds fun. And it's a sci-fi book, I think. I have Emily Henry, as I mentioned earlier. So I have Happy Place and I got the hardback of this one. I think this is a second chance romance book. I think it's when 2 exes have to pretend to their friends that they're still together, I think. But yeah, heard very good things about this one. I have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but it's set in 1920s Shanghai. And I think there's a little bit more focus on the rivalry between the families versus the romance, I think, in these. But again, heard really good things. I have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This is the Fairy Loot edition and I really love the colour scheme on this book. Again, I don't know much about this, I just know it's like super popular, so that's why I kept it. I have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and this is by obviously Lewis Carroll. This is the Mina Lima edition and these are beautiful. Like there's artwork throughout, there's interactive elements, but I haven't read this yet, but I would really like to get the Mina Lima book collection. Maybe gradually. The last of my hardbacks is The Vanishing Half, so this is by Britt Bennett. This was a Goodreads winner, I believe, and I think it's about two white passing black twins. One of the twins lives as a black woman and one of them lives as a white woman, and I think it's like years later and their daughters meet and interact. So it sounds incredible and I've heard very good things about it. Okay, I'm up to 65 on my physical TBR. I've got these that are trade paperbacks, which we get very often in Ireland. They are just the new releases that are kind of like the hardback size. I have 3 books here that are like slightly different sizing, so I didn't put them in the cart, so I just thought I would keep them here on the shelf. I have Almond. This is by Won Young Son, I think is the author, and I think it's a Korean author, and I got money off this because it came really damaged. I bought this because I'm a big BTS fan, and BTS had a show called In the Soup, and both Suga and RM read this book while they were on that show. The show was a bit like just following BTS on like a little bit of a vacation. Both of them read this book. That's why I picked it up. I think it's about this boy who can't feel emotions. So yeah, if RM and Suga like it, I will read it. Have another Stephen King, so this is The Long Walk. I've had this for a while. This is one of Stephen King's earliest novels. It actually came underneath a pseudonym. Yeah, Richard Bateman. So Stephen King went by Richard Bateman for a while. This is like a horror dystopia where I think a group of boys have to keep walking and like the last man standing is the winner. They can't stop for breaks, they can't eat, they can't sleep, they just have to keep walking. So it sounds horrific. The concept sounds really, really interesting. Then I have The Firekeeper's Daughter, and this is by Angeline Boulley, and I believe Angeline Boulley is a Indigenous author, and this is an Indigenous story, but I don't know much about it, and I bought it because it was a Goodreads winner. So definitely common theme here. Okay, and I just have all my trade paperbacks now as well. So I've got, let me just pull them out. I have the big price sticker still on this one. So this is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. This is another Romeo and Juliet retelling, and I've read The Alice 6 by Olivia Blake, which I quite liked. So I think that's why I picked this up. It did sound good. I have, as I mentioned before, The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I really don't know why I bought this. I really need to read some of her to see if I like her. I can't remember why I bought this. I really can't. I have Wayward. So this is by Amelia Hart. This is about 3 different women in different periods of time and how their stories all interlink. But yeah, this one, again, this was a Goodreads winner. I think it won historical fiction and debut for 2023 Goodreads Awards. Sounds really good. I have Never by Jessa Hastings, and oh, I've heard mixed things about this. So I've heard that the author suggests that you should read the original Peter Pan story. The Disney version is not the accurate story. Like, Peter Pan is actually a really, like, not a very good character, and I think apparently this is like a made up sequel for Peter Pan. I really like the Peter Pan story, so I thought I would give this a go. I've heard mixed things about it, but I'll try to form my own conclusion. So I have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I read Babel, loved it, want to read all of her books now, so pick this up. I have The Maid and the Mystery Guest by Nita Prose, and I picked these up because, again, Goodreads winners, I believe. I have Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I haven't read these yet. I know I will love it. You're probably wondering why I have series in trade paperback size, because I need my series to match, and there's only a certain amount of time that you can buy trade paperbacks in shops, so I usually pick them up as soon as I see them. I have a middle grade actually, so this is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. Again, I've never read Rick Riordan. Also, again, this was a Goodreads winner, but this is a standalone. I think Percy Jackson, I think it has 5 books, and then it has loads of spin-off series, where this is a standalone book. So this might be a good one to read before I read Percy Jackson. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be too old to read this, but I do enjoy middle grade. I have, I can't wait to read this. This is the Fragile Threads of Power by V. Schwab. This is a new spin-off series to the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. That trilogy was one of my favourite series of last year. I'm surprised I haven't picked this up yet, but I really can't wait to. I think there's a new main character, but some of the original characters are in this book as well. Again, another V. Schwab, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This made the rounds like a couple of years ago, but I've never read it. But it's V. Schwab, so I know I'm going to love it. She's one of my favourites. So I am so late to this party. Fourth Wing and Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. So yeah, I heard amazing things about Fourth Wing, and then not so great things about Iron Flame, but I would like to read it and judge it for myself. This is about a war academy. Apparently it's a mixture of like Harry Potter and Hunger Games. Sounds incredible. And then I have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is such a beautiful book and I've just heard amazing reviews about this. So it's about this friendship, I believe, and both of them develop this game together. Apparently this book is really, really beautiful, so I can't wait to read it. 80, 81, 82, 83. I have 83 books on my physical TBR. Okay, so I technically, I suppose, have a little bit more than that because I've got a few books that are in the middle of series. I think I'll do that in a separate video, maybe just talking about all the series I'm in the middle of. I also just counted the books that are on this shelf. Some of these are the series that I'm in the middle of, and I have 31. So altogether I have 114 books on my physical TBR. I need to not shop for a long time. So yeah, and I thought I would keep them on my bookshelf. So I've got like the Bridgerton series, for example, here. I've read books 1 and 2, but not 3 and 4. But I thought I would keep them here versus on the cart. Thank you so much for watching. So I do anything book related on this channel, so bookshelf organization videos like this one, TBRs, wrap ups, all that stuff. I'll link this cart and my socials and stuff in the description. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.